All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus show for our post-game wrap-up of the Vikings losing to the we'll say 3-7 Dallas Cowboys. Now, Lupagus, how are you feeling?
A little pissed off, a little dejected. It's pretty much the entire season now. We can kiss our playoff goodbye. The Vikings gave us hope for a while, but to show their true colors today.
Yeah, Vikings going to 4-6. While we might not be mathematically eliminated, I think we can say we're probably pretty much eliminated. 5-5 would have been beautiful. Didn't happen. Let's get into this game. Final score 31-28. Cowboys outscored the Vikings 15-14 in that fourth quarter, which was very, very gross. Where the hell do you want to start?
I don't know. We already talked about the first half. I think we should focus on the second half. The Vikings came out firing, looked alive, looked like they were ready to play, which they weren't from the beginning of this game. Drove right down, scored 7, and looked like the Vikings were going to come back. They took the lead the next series, and you think, okay, Vikings are going to put this thing away, and the defense just opens up and lets the Cowboys just pound away at them. That was the most pathetic series I've seen, I think, all year. Vikings defense.
Well, let's talk
Cowboys threw the football.
Let's talk first half a little bit. Vikings down 16-7, looked pretty much lifeless in that first half, which we've seen at the beginning of the season for the Vikings. We haven't seen that in the last couple of weeks, so it's surprising to see them come out so flat, so uninterested, so gross, all the penalties. And then they come into the second half, show a lot of life, get a quick score, which was fantastic. Everything pointed to the Vikings looking like they were just going to probably play like they should have, even well into the fourth quarter, and then they just lost it all. It was gone.
It was the defense. The defense gave it all up. I mean, the Cowboys ran it, I think, every time that one drive, and when Tony Pollard, 42 yards, there was no resistance. There was nothing. It was pathetic, and that gave the Cowboys, let them back in this game, and then Vikings couldn't put away when they had a chance, and they had multiple chances to put this thing away, and they just could not do it.
Yeah, the big daggers again were the penalties, the lack of offensive line by the Vikings, the defense just really, really stepping on their hogs. Chris Jones on that Tony Pollard run looked very, very unwell. I do not envy him one damn bit in that film room tomorrow, if he's even still there. That was unexplainable. Our secondary was brutal. Chris Boyd missing that interception on the last drive I don't know how that happens. Everything just pointed to the Cowboys getting this win.
Yeah, and there definitely was some calls that did not go the Vikings' way. The helmet to helmet on Kirk Cousins early that wasn't called, and the Harrison Smith bullshit call on the roughing defenseless receiver early. But again, Vikings can only blame themselves. Like you said, Chris Boyd had a chance to put the game away, let it bounce off his head. And then Justin Jefferson dropping that, and there was no one 20 yards of him. I mean, he just drops an easy pass that would have kept the drive going. Just poor mistakes at bad times cost the Vikings this game, and probably cost them their chance of going anywhere in the postseason.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really expected it. It was fun to have the Vikings get back into it, maybe make a playoff run. Run meaning get to the playoffs. I mean, these guys weren't really going to go anywhere anyways, but now it's just kind of a very somber moment for Minnesota Vikings fans. It's just exactly what the Vikings do too. They let a backup quarterback, a quarterback who has no right doing what he did, and time again, they do this to the Vikings, and Andy Dalton did it again. He had a pretty good game, 203 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. We made him look way, way, way better than he should have.
And again, it's the lack of pressure. We don't have that star edge rusher. It showed today. With Denebo, only time he got any time on the screen when he was laying on the turf because he was hurt. Wanham had the one pressure, but there was just no consistent pressure at all on Dalton today, and that was a big difference. And I mean, 4th and 6, how was Jeff Gladney 6 yards away from Amari Cooper? It makes no sense. You think you would maybe want to have someone on him like glue no matter where he goes. He had a huge cushion. It was an easy completion. And you just know, just from the Vikings history in that situation, the Cowboys are going to complete that every time. It's something we should be used to by now.
Yeah, and that was our big worry into this game. I mean, Amari Cooper probably should have been that far off. He's that much better than Jeff Gladney. The Cowboys could have done more damage. I mean, they were having Gallup was having some gross drops. Cedric Wilson was having drops. So we had a couple of things handed to us on a silver platter too. But Zeke, of course, gets his first 100-yard rushing game against the Vikings. Tony Pollard had 60 yards on the ground. The receivers were just kind of picking our secondary apart. Let's talk Vikings. Kirk Cousins. I mean, he had a fantastic game. You really can't get a better game out of him. 22 out of 30, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns. Very, very good game. Dalvin Cook turned it on in that second half, 115 yards, touchdown. Thielen, we saw what he did. Jefferson opposed from the drop. So there was some really good stuff. It's our defense gave up 31 points to a 2-7 team.
Yeah, you scored 28. You think you'd win. I mean, what's clear from this game is the Vikings are now an offensive. That's their strength. Their defense is their weakness. Been a big change from the Mike Zimmer era that we're used to, but it's clear, it's evident, and I don't know, where do you go from here? What do? You play hard. What's the team going to finish 8-8? That's what's going to come. That's what's going to amount to.
Yeah, 7-9, 8-8. We'll see what happens. I mean, other good things, I think, and these are words I never thought I'd utter, but Jaleel Johnson had a pretty damn good game.
You can freaking get the hell off team for all I care.
Well, he had a good game, and if he had a good game, I'm going to give him a little love, and he did, because we're not used to seeing that. He had a good game. Harrison Smith had a good game. No big surprise there, but Hercules Mata'afa, I didn't see a ton of him. DJ Wanham, I was expecting to see more of them. I was expecting to see more of a pass rush just because the Cowboys' offensive line is so depleted, and we couldn't even take advantage of these guys that would never, ever be out there in the first place. I couldn't imagine what we would have done against their starting offensive line.
Yeah, it was nothing. It's kind of like what we kind of feared against the Bears, going against a ragtag O-line. We thought maybe they would hold their own, but they had their way with them last week, and we couldn't do the same against the Cowboys. So I don't know what it was, why they couldn't do it. Again, it's frustrating, but I think it all comes down to having Daniel Hunter out and not having that option across from him that really reared its ugly head today for the Vikings.
You know what didn't rear its ugly head is some ugly snaps. I think we might have a new long snapper. Austin Cutting should be very scared right now.
Yeah, that guy was solid. Beautiful snaps. The way the ball spiraled over his hand was just beautiful.
What a snapper he is. What a snapper he has. Fantastic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know. It's just such a buzzkill of a game. The Vikings, this is one where better first half. They probably win this by 2 touchdowns, but the Cowboys came out firing. Vikings weren't ready for it and got punched in the face. And, this is probably going to put an old death knell on their season.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings, they dominated every main stat except for Dallas did get more rushing yards. But unfortunately dominating every stat also meant penalties. And turnovers, but we had the ball more, 60% on third down. We did a lot of good things on offense. It was just defense is what it is. It'll be interesting to see what Zimmer says in his press conference. Be interesting to see where they go from here in the coming weeks.
One thing's for sure, Zimmer will lick his lips very, very early and often during that press conference. He always does.
He will.
To me, it all comes down to the series after I think we finally took the lead, and then just the defense. I don't know if they were just relaxing or what, but I think the Cowboys ran it 5 straight times and they went down the length of the field and scored. So that to me was the difference. You stuff them there, you give them no hope, and they just let them shove it down their throat.
Yeah, that third quarter where we pretty much had the ball the entire quarter, I was feeling very, very confident. I thought this was kind of actually a shoo-in that the Vikings were going to take it, and then the fourth quarter arrived, and it rubbed.
Yeah, it rubbed so hard.
So hard. All right. Well, we got to get into our studs and turds of the game. Let's start with our stud. Who's your stud of the game?
You want to end on a positive note?
No, I want to end on a piss poor note today.
Well, stud the game is easy. It's Kirk Cousins. He played damn near a perfect game today. And they mentioned it, and that's when the kind of wheels fell off. But, Justin Jefferson catches that ball. We're probably still playing football right now because this game is probably going to be in overtime. But Cousins, he was throwing the balls. He dropped some dimes to Jefferson, dropped some dimes to Thielen. absolutely on. You know, the way he was escaping pressure and running too. You don't see that very often from the big ass quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, but he did it today. So Kirk Cousins, we've kind of harped on you all season. You were one bar's turd of the first half.
Damn right.
Today, you were my stud of the game. Kirk Cousins, well done.
Well, since you went with Kirk Cousins, who absolutely deserves it, I'm gonna go with somebody else. I'm going Dalvin Cook, 27, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, and put the stats aside. This guy just got his ass kicked out there all game. All game, continues to feed him the ball. Tons of energy. I mean, this offense wouldn't be anything without him. Kirk Cousins wouldn't have half those stats without Dalvin Cook. And not to mention 5 catches for 45 yards. So Dalvin Cook, he's got to get Offensive Player of the Year this year. Over 1,000 yards today too.
Yeah, he went over 1,000, had the 1 touchdown. Yeah, I mean, he took some big hits, but the holes weren't there like everybody expected they would be. Everybody thought Dalvin would go over 200 today, but gotta give the Cowboys credit. They definitely went out to stop Dalvin Cook, and for the most part, they did enough to win the game anyway.
All right, who's your turd? Turd.
It's actually a guy I've been very high on recent weeks. I was high on him last year, but today he was a complete and utter turd. It was Chris Boyd. He had 2 chances to flip the script on this game. The first one where he was frantically flopping around, moving forward before the ball was snapped on that punt fake. You know what? You're probably coached up, I would assume. If you're wide open like that, just wave your hand. Don't actually start running down the field before the ball snapped. But couldn't help it. Then he had a chance to steal the game with interception. I think it bounced off his freaking nose. Chris Boyd, you are shit, and you are the turd of the game.
That's extreme. This is turd of the game, not shit of the game.
Sorry.
Shit is much more ruder. Yeah, it's Chris Boyd. There's no way around it. You said everything. You're being a little extra nice where you said you bounced off his face. Really, it bounced off both of his hands and then his face. So Chris Boyd could have sealed the deal. I give him a pass on the punt. That shouldn't have happened anyways. It was a penalty. We ended up punting it. I'm fine with that. Catch the damn interception. Brutal.
That would have been ball game, and the Vikings would be 5-5 right now. Instead, we are the laughing stock in the NFL, losing to the Dallas Cowboys.
We're not. I wouldn't say laughing stock. I mean, we're in purgatory now because now we're not going to get a great draft pick. We're not going to be in the playoffs. We're going to have to pick like 15, and we're going to get Wyatt Davis and turn this whole damn team around.
We are in the most Minnesota Vikings position we could possibly be in.
Yeah,
nothing
bent
to
over
gain by winning, nothing to gain by losing. We're going to fall right in the middle.
Well, let's just hope along the way we have a few good wins, a few good things coming out of it. Players continue to get better. Positive thinking, looking on to next year.
Yeah, maybe. I'll flip that tomorrow. Today I'm gonna roll around in my misery and my depression. I'm gonna enjoy it and bathe in it. It's gonna stink, but I'm gonna do that.
All right. That's all we got.
All right. Well, you know what? Did you know that coffee can lower your risk of tooth decay? So drink up.